Cash and Landrum sued the government for their injuries, but the case was dismissed on the basis of the military's protestation that they possess no such craft. A strange quote-unquote abduction incident, which may link to laser quote hot jobs end quote, is related in the Spiral newsletter for April 21st, 1982. It occurred on December 11th, 1979 and involved Melvin and Naomi, last name not given, a healthy couple in their early 60s. Melvin is a retired aerospace engineer who had received honors in the Apollo program, according to the MUFON UFO Journal of March 1982. They were both at home that night watching TV and having cheese and wine when they both simultaneously and instantly lost consciousness for no apparent reason. Afterwards, they both took a trip which could be described as hell. Neither could remember consciously what happened during the next 2 days, but after the incident, both Naomi and Melvin were hospitalized. Naomi for treatment of depressive reaction and dehydration, and Melvin for psychotic reaction, dehydration, and renal failure. Both had burns. Naomi had them on her hip and thigh, Melvin with a more serious burn on his hip which indented the bone. A burn on the top of his head, on both heels, and a very severe one on his back. One of the physicians told Melvin he had third-degree high radiation burns. That's a tidbit from Casebook on Alternative 3, UFOs, Secret Societies, and World Control by Jim Keith, the late and lamented conspiracy researcher. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. You know, I could go on another tirade about the ridiculous theatrics of the debt ceiling debacle going on in the House and the Senate, and how the President is fulfilling the exact prediction that I had made earlier this year, that this would be the year of compromise, and compromise in the sense of giving up everything that the New Deal stood for and everything that benefited in any way, even in a small measure, the poor, the middle class, the working class of this country, and sell it out completely to the rich, the corporations, and Wall Street. So in this vein, compromise merely means give the rich whatever they want. And this is the role that Obama is destined to play. This is the role that I've predicted that he would fall under. I called out Obama before he was even the candidate in 2008. You can look back in my videos and see that. But I'm not going to talk about the debate on the debt ceiling anymore, because I have iterated time and time again how it is a complete fiasco, a sham, and a total fucking joke. And as I pointed out to someone I was talking to the other day, you know, I'm ready to wake up one of these days, look out my window and see cotton candy clouds in the sky and living cartoon characters walk down the street, because that is the kind of reality that we are embroiled in right now, where fantasy is real and any kind of rationality or reasoning is thrown out the window. We're living in a parallel universe where things that used to be up are now down, and there are no rules. Everything is twisted and practically opposite. So if there was a bizarro world, that's where we are right now. Now, there are a couple of other issues that should be of importance to people. And while it seems as though some of the more extreme weather events that have come across the United States have lessened to some degree, there is still a tremendous heat wave that is going across the country. And there is also the idea of the nuclear reactors that had been experiencing problems here in the United States. And of course, one must not forget the Fukushima nightmare in Japan. And I think that with all of the focus that we have had on the horrible, bad B-movie of the U.S. debt debacle movie that's going on in this country. We've lost sight of some very important things that everybody needs to start focusing on. We're starting to see now, coming out, even in some, you know, around the edges of the mainstream news media, the after effects of the BP oil disaster. We're seeing an increased amount of attention on the sidelines because there are more important things. God forbid we have to know everything about the fucking NFL and the stupid fucking strike and lockout and all this fucking shit. Like, I give a crap about somebody carrying a fucking ball down a fucking field making millions of fucking dollars a year, suing because they're not getting a big enough piece of the pie. Don't got nothing against them. They're workers. They have a contract. They should get whatever they deserve. I'm 100% for it. I just don't see any purpose in sports. Okay? I support the union. I support them trying to gouge out of the owners as much as they can. That's not the issue. The issue is, what the fuck use is sports? I have no use for it, okay? So I don't give a shit about the NFL. I don't give a shit about all this other crap, Amy Winehouse and all the other bullshit that people are shoving down our faces every fucking day of nonsense crap. That's the big fucking headline on the goddamn news page. You can shove it up your ass. But around the edges of the mainstream media, we are starting to see some of the horrible, disastrous outcomes of these terrible tragedies that have happened. Okay? One good thing, the Norway massacre, the horrible fucking tragedy up there, is the death toll from the initial estimates around 90 is down into the 70s. Okay, now it's still going up and down and hasn't quite settled yet. But, you know, even one person would be a horrible shock and a terrible tragedy. But that many people is just an astonishing act of psychopathy, and it's just terrible. And one thing I gotta say, and I gotta say it, I gotta say that the, I guess he's the Prime Minister up there in Norway, he said their answer to that kind of crap is to have more openness and more fucking democracy. Here. In this motherfucking country, you have any kind of action that takes place like that, you have police state motherfuckers clamping down on everything. You know what the goddamn answer is? The answer is to do what Norway is fucking doing. To say, you know what? You want to try to attack our fucking system? Go ahead. Because we're not going to be cowed by your fucking terror acts, by your fucking psychopathic murderous rampages. We're not going to sell out our fucking country because of some fucking lunatic. And I say, here to Norway. And I say, God bless you. This is not what we expect in this country. We expect the iron fist of the police state to come crashing down on us anytime there is any sort of outbreak of psychopathic violence like what took place in Norway. So, I gotta say, congratulations, Norway. I give everything to you because your response to this is the one that is absolutely appropriate. For a terrific tragedy to come out and say that our answer is to be more of what makes us great. That's fantastic. And, you know, like with the Gulf oil spill, we're starting to see now, you know, the legacy of that. The people getting sick. We're seeing the penetration of the dispersants that were used down there, causing widespread illness and chronic disease. We're starting to see, you know, the extent to which Fukushima is truly a worldwide disaster of unprecedented proportion. And while they're not talking about the nuclear reactors in this country that we're very close to or did suffer some form of shutdown or possible problems, we're not really hearing about that anymore. The fact that they're niggling at the backs of our minds should be cause enough to bring them back up to the forefront and cause us again to focus on some of the most irresponsible and utterly destructive policies of the corporations that build and run and maintain all of these things, because that's where this all goes back to. Corporations build these power plants. Their bottom line is always profit, and profit's the only thing that's driving them. And that means if they got to cut back on safety and redundancy in order to make sure they have a profit at the end of the day, then fuck safety and fuck everything else, because profit's the only thing that matters. BP oil spill, same fucking thing. I don't care what anybody says or what any kind of commission decides. It's all a whitewash bullshit to make it seem like BP was not responsible and they could never have stopped such a tremendous unforeseeable thing. Fuck you! And then to use, who even knows how much? Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of gallons of deadly dispersant agents which have entered the food supply and the food chain and are now causing, along with the oil and all the other things that came from that disaster down there, causing sickness and disease, and something we're going to see as a legacy down the road for years to come. And Fukushima, we don't even still have the full idea of the scope of that tremendous tragedy. And remember, this is a power plant that was built by corporations, and corporations have only one thing on their mind, and that's the bottom line of profit. And if they could save money by building a plant on unstable land near a fault line, which ultimately is probably what happened there in that case, that had they built it somewhere else, the land probably would have cost them more money. The building probably would have cost more, so they chose the dangerous place because it was going to save money in the long run. That would be my guess on that particular situation. But all of these other things that had been with us, maybe we should take some time to reflect on some of the deadly atrocities committed against people by corporations and madmen and psychopaths around the world. And let's all take a very, very incredible lesson from Norway, from the horrible tragedy of all of the deaths up there in the bombing and shooting that took place up there. That they had the strength of mind and the will to say, we are going to be more of what made us great in the face of such a devastating calamity. And let's hope that that will be something that people can latch onto for a future for America and for other countries around the world who say we're not going to knuckle under to this kind of nonsense. Instead, we are going to be more open, more free, more democratic, and more of what makes us great, even if we hardly have anything left of that in us. Thank you. Good day.